Okay. So here we are, Mother's Day. Um, I've got a special connection with this day because I was born on Mother's Day. So, and this isn't the same every day. It isn't the same date each year. This is the ninth. This year it's Mother's Day on the ninth. It was when I was born. So, um, in kind of a funny way, I feel a strong connection just because of that circumstance. So I want to talk briefly today uh, about mothers, what mothering is, how Tantra might approach this kind of thing. And so I'll begin in the everyday mundane level. We have moms, all of us, and those people are the beings from which we emerged. We were born from a connection that is as intimate as anything will ever be in anyone's lifetime. And this is something that women can experience and that men do not. Um, in tantric practice, we divide things in. Okay. Let me back up for just a minute. When you take a look at something, you have to you have to pick out what is the primary difference that you want to work with. As an example, to describe the universe of Christianity, the primary difference is good and evil. And so what that does is that creates a world that's based on that opposition. When you take a look at Tantra, what the primary difference is between Shiva and Shakti, male, female. And that difference is not one that has a contest built within it. In tantric practices, the contest isn't there because the desire is to unify the world. And so through mothering and through the Shakti, which is the feminine, that is creating the world, the creatrix of the world. Now, when you take a look at the way that deities are drawn in Tantra, they're often drawn with like a circle of flames around them. They are emerging from the mother of the universe. I think this is a deep, not just spiritual, but perhaps an insight into the way that the universe works. We are emerging from the mother of the place that we are in into the moment that we're occupying. So every moment is a coming forth from the Shakti, from the deep divine. And every moment in coming forth, if we can hold our awareness on that point, we no longer have concerns, we no longer have separation, we no longer have conflicting distinctions because we are simply being present. And this is something that, in my estimation, this is something that we need to value higher within our society. This is a time in history when that's very important, because the mothering that we're talking about is not simply a binary sexuality kind of mothering. The mothering that we're talking about here is the emergent nature of this world, of everything within it, everything behind me, the trees with the flowers on it, the tea leaf plants. And by the way, they make nice little necklaces out of those things. Um, they make leis out of those for men. The tea leaf plants there. Sidetrack. Okay, so when we're taking a look at this basic premise, this basic principle here, what we're looking at is how is it that humans and the rest of the world, how is it that the world is defined in such a way that we want it to come together? And the basic metaphor is male and female. And so how do we want the world to come together? Through different practices so that we can see, perceive, understand, and occupy the world as something that's constantly being created. So every moment is the mother of the next one. Every moment is the mother of the next one. And so along with mothering, there's certain traits, conditions, and characteristics that I think are pretty important. These plants behind me exist largely because somebody is taking care of them, myself and a friend of mine. It used to be dirt. So in a sense, we're mothering this moment coming into being. If we weren't involved in that mothering, if we weren't involved in that co-creation, that wouldn't be there. That would be dirt. So too it is with the world that we live in. We are in a place where we're creating like crazy, but we're not creating in a context. We're creating in separateness. The fundamental premise that is, I believe, important in our time is that relationship is the core that we need to attend to. Our relationship with the living things around us and creating gardens out of dirt, our relationship with each other, rather than going from right or wrong or good or evil or something like that. What we want to address is how is it that we can reconnect, that we can remember that there is truly, and there is, by the way, truly, there is a rainbow bridge of hearts from the mountains to the sea that connects every living thing. And recognizing that and feeling that connection with every living thing around us is an instruction for us. It's an instruction for us to be more mothering with the world around us, more caretaking, more, watering and weeding, more constructive in relationship rather than constructive in separation. When a car is built or a house is built or actions are taken in our current society, and these are most societies around the world that work this way, that thing is seen as separate and not really in relationship with what's around it. That is not emphasized. In mothering, relationship is the core of mothering. Relationship needs to become our core. And to help us do that, Tantra has given us many, many practices. Those practices, when we experience those practices, and when we really take it in and feel it and live those things, we are changed. And the way that we're changed, straightforward. The way that we're changed is that we see the world more deeply. We see our relationship to the world around us. We see and feel our living connection with the world around us, with the plants. In my case, there's a couple chickens over here that I take care of that are wild chickens. We nurture these relationships. We feed these relationships. We weed these relationships. And so too with each other. Because we're not going to discover what we really need to discover in separation. What humanity needs to discover at this time is how to feed our relationship with the living things in the world, how to take care of, how to foster, how to bring forth. And so women have a particularly strong connection to that because, as I had mentioned in the beginning, there's an intimacy that women and children get to experience that men don't get to experience as the mother part. And so a certain amount of increase in guidance by feminine perspectives, I think, is essential at this time, because we're not simply being farmers of the plants around us. It's the relationship that we're establishing. So in farming, we could throw chemicals at it, or tractors, combines, and things like that, because it is like an industry. And what an industry does is create products that are innately separate and that are not seen in relationship to the world around them. And the growth and development of them is not seen in relationship to the world around it. So we can put chemicals in the ground. We can plow it all the time and stuff like this and destroy all the mycorrhizal structures and so forth. We can do that. But if we're approaching farming, industry, building buildings, and all the different things that humanity does, if we're doing that, we're doing it in relationship. We're doing it to create relationship, because the goal is not to create more. things or more separateness, or just flood the world with the product of our imagination. The purpose is relationship. The purpose is to establish a connection with everything around us and to recognize that that is a living connection. And in my case, that has gone to the point of I can, from time to time, when I'm tuned in, literally see the living connection that we have with everything around us. When we act with that, when we act with the recognition that we are inevitably in relationship with the living things around us 24/7. It's not like we choose. We are always in relationship with the things around us. We are part of the web of life. We are part of, the beautiful. Okay, so there's a lovely saying that the world is like the dew on a spider's web in the morning, where every droplet of dew is reflecting every other droplet. But we're even more intimate than that. We are literally connected by the life force around us. In tantric practice, one of the things that's important is to note the subtle body and the feelings, like the energy between the hands or the energy between people, or we use the word energy a lot for these kinds of things. That energy in Tantra is Shakti. Shakti is the life force that is literally connecting everything. So we're saying here then, I don't have life force. I'm not separate. I belong to life force. We belong to each other. When we recognize that, we will create a garden, an Eden, and not an industrial wasteland. We really will, man. I mean, here's to flowers, more flowers, and less weeds, as they say. Um, so, so this is really the way, I believe, to create a society that will last thousands of years. And if I've got a personal goal, it's to make a small contribution towards that, to create a society that is mutually supportive, not just of each other, and not of each other in separation from other people, men versus women, white versus black, politically, Chinese versus US. These versus viewpoints, we cannot have that anymore. We've run out of earth. We cannot afford to just push everything away from us. We cannot escape the fact that we are in the web of life, and we have to take care of that. We have to take care of that relationship. We have to understand the nature of the world as it is. And this is the nature of the world as it is. We're not separate. There's no evil plant. There's no good plant. They're just being. And in that being born into every moment, and the whole world around us is being born into every moment. That is where the magic happens with magicians. And with people that are working with the subtle world who want to create differences in the world. The world is constantly assembling itself all the time. And that motion, that constantly assembling itself, that's creating this moment, what we're in. And it's not a time slice. We're extended in time, we're extended in space. And because of that extension, that energy in us, we can feel it in other people. As an example, you can feel, once you make your hands sensitive, you can feel the energy of another person from 20 to 30 feet away. That is the case with every living thing. There is a Chinese technique that is called tree breathing, where what you're doing is you're cycling the energy of the tree through your body and joining the two. We are literally connected with all these things. So if you can feel my energy body 30 feet away, these plants can feel it. I can feel them. We're connected, inevitably. And we're growing into a time when we can feel this more and more. And that, if there is any point to what I'm doing with this practice, to what I'm doing with with all the video and the technology and Zoom and all the rest of that. What am I up to? Relationship, connection. That's it. So happy Mother's Day.